Hey Dennis, it was a fantastic episode on inspiring ideas today. I just wanted to ask about the 4 principles that you talked about in this episode. You want to go at it?
Okay, so I would say the first one is that artificial intelligence cannot explain artificial intelligence. And basically, you can't explain equations with just the same equations. So the second principle is we're going to use explainable AI to explain the principles of artificial intelligence, understand it, but also understand more about ourselves since we get the exact features that made a decision. And then the third principle is that you can only know something when you taught someone else how to do it. So when someone else can do what you knew, then you really understand what you are doing. And then the fourth and maybe most important one, it could be the first principle, in fact, is you can't see the light in yourself if you don't see the light in others. That's impossible. And when I'm saying in others, I mean everyone. You need to see the light in everyone if you want to see the light in yourself.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Dennis.
Hi, I'm Abhinav.
I'm Madhu.
Welcome to the Inspiring Idea podcast. We interview people from across the world and share their life stories and success formulas with our audience. We hope this will inspire you to achieve your dreams. So, let's get the show started.
Please welcome Denis Rothman today. How are you?
I'm okay. So you're in Sydney and I'm in France. So
Awesome.
you're in the evening, I'm in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. Dennis, in the next 30-40 minutes, we wanted to really explore your life journey and
Okay.
deep dive into the key moments which contributed to who you are today. And of course, talk about your love to AI.
Yeah.
Cool. Dennis, when we were researching about you, we found many avatars of you. You being an author, being a corporate professional, an academician, and a speaker. Let's start with Dennis, the person, and the love for AI.
Well, honestly, this started when I was a child, before computers. I always liked to think with processes. Like I know I know the day it began exactly because I've reproduced it. I was maybe 7 years old, and I lost a little toy in a garden. And I was thinking, and there was a lot of grass. So I was thinking, if I move quickly, I'll never find it. So I stopped moving, and I created a mental grid in the garden. And I say, if I move in a very rational way, like a lawnmower, then I'll find the object. So I had this grid in mind, and I said, and I followed it very, very disciplined. So I followed it around, and then I found my toy, and I say, hey, now I'm going to apply this to everything I do at school. I'll have everything like this. So about that time, I was one of the students that didn't have to review at home anymore, because I had everything in grids. When the teacher would speak, I'd put it there. And I'm one of the persons that you would see never go to school with a school bag and be part of the best of the class, because I was always thinking of optimizing everything the teacher was saying when he was saying, well, where does that fit? Oh, that goes in this part of the grid and that part of the. So by the end of the day, I was repeating the lessons so much that at home, my father would say, or my mother would say, do you have any homework? I did it already, but where is it? I said, it's here. So when I went to college, it was the same. I never had to carry school bags or notebooks or books. And I would read all my books, college books, before the college season. So I know and then after, when the first processors came, I immediately understood that I could put my mind in there and write algorithms. So it's not, maybe it's a mental deficiency I have, maybe I'm suffering from a mental illness, and it fits with artificial intelligence.
Did you inherit from your parents, or is it, are your parents like this? It's so methodical, going with the structure. So you like structure, is what I learned from you just now.
Well, there's another factor, is that I went to the official music conservatory in France for music. And people think music is fun, you know, pop music, but learning classical music is extremely strict. And you have to know all the keys. You have to know like 7 keys for the trumpets for and all that. I did the real classical, and you have to be like you have to be very organized. You can't, if you're playing the piano or the organ, classical music, you can't improvise. You have to really know. So that helped me because I was very good with keyboards. As soon as a keyboard appeared, I could type with 10 fingers at full speed, because for me, learning a few letters compared to what the music scores in the music school is nothing. So I had this, and I also had languages for me because I was born in Germany. I was born in Germany and from American parents and with a mixed culture, Russian, Italian, German, everything's mixed up in my family. So I heard all kinds of languages, and computer languages seem so simple. You know, I say, oh, that keyboard with just a few letters, and those computer languages, they have 50 words. With 50 words, you can create programs. So it wasn't too difficult, honestly. It was very easy to go into artificial intelligence for me.
Summarize, you got language, you got mathematics, then you got music. And I can resonate that these three correlate to somebody who's so good in binary, looking things at the
Yeah, it's very easy. Yeah. Like, and there's something else. You know Ravi Shankar. I would listen to him. I would listen to that music, and this music goes, what, 2,000 years? 1,000, 2,000 years?
Yes.
And you can see that there's another factor that people are missing. When they're playing this traditional music, they're listening to the world and they're listening to something else, to other dimensions. So I would call it, if we stay in a normal conversation, I would just call it intuition, creativity. At one point, you have to improvise. If you don't have ideas, you're not gonna make it an artificial intelligence. You need ideas. See, inspiring ideas. That's your theme. So if you don't have inspiration and you don't have ideas, which is the title, where are you going to go? You're not going to go very far, right? You need all that structure, but you have to put on top, you have to have inspiration and ideas.
Beautifully said.
So it was very easy, honestly. I started in the 80s. I registered a patent in 1982, word to vector. And then it was very easy because I was only maybe 24 when I landed my first contracts as a consultant. And then with computers and all that, it was very easy. Honestly, it was because artificial intelligence fits with my way of thinking. I'm just lucky.
That's a fantastic story there. Dennis, chatbots are everywhere today. You began your career authoring one of the first AI cognitive natural language processing NLP chatbot applied as a language teacher. Tell us that story, and how do you think chatbots have evolved over a period of time?
Well, so now you got this first part, and then now I went to computers. And since I was good in languages, I would say, I'm going to write a program where people are going to wonder how that system answers. And I say, I'm not going to use artificial voices. I only used recorded words. It was digital already. I never used it wasn't like, hello, how are you? This is a computer. No, immediately I had digital voices. And in fact, there's a recording where I was interviewed by a radio where there's a magazine called Speak Up, and you can hear that it's a digital voice. So I began with what we're doing today, word to vector. And then what I did is something you can't do anymore. It's not legal anymore, but it was legal at that time, is that every time someone would speak, I would record everything he was saying in words. And then the next day, for example, I would say, oh, I remember that yesterday you watched that on TV, or yesterday you saw this soccer game, or so same thing. I entered Moët & Chandon, which is luxury. So that LVMH is one of the largest luxury groups in the world. And I was lucky because there's another factor in my life. As you can see, I'm cool. And the people were saying, this guy's cool. You know, he doesn't look like an egghead, like these mathematicians, you know, like they have a mental, he's cool. So why don't we ask him to do something? And it was for language learning, because these people had to, these were business CEOs, managers. They didn't have time to travel, to go to private lessons. So they financed a huge project, and I wrote a chatbot for them. And this chatbot was very successful because it would never answer it would never say the same question, never say the same answers. It's basically what you have today with Google Dialogflow.
Yeah.
Except that my thing was automatic. It would learn the questions and the answers from the person. But so chatbots, that was a good chatbot. And it was a big project with many, many users. But then after I was thinking, who am I going to sell this to? How many LVMH people are there? So I'm not going to earn a lot of money if I just do that. So I was saying, but when people think, they think in languages. So then I went to aerospace companies, defense companies. And I said, you have reasoning. When you're in defense projects, not in civilian stuff, you have strategies. Maybe we can put these strategies into word pieces and math, and then we can do automatic strategies. So my first one there was with, it's now Airbus. It's the defense part of Airbus. Mm-hmm. So that was imagine my first chatbot was LVMH, and then my first industrial part was with the Airbus, the defense part. It was called aerospatial at that time. I was very young, and I would come in but as you can see, I was very old, because since I was 7, I was always thinking like that. So by the time I was 24, I had about like 17 years experience of creating processes. And that's what I think makes success. It's when you're very old in something, very young.
The lesson there, Dennis, is keep experimenting right from your early age. And then once you do that, the experience would take you to a level where you can go and influence anybody and then make money.
Yes, because even when I was 7, I was thinking back of the way I was thinking when I was 6, 5, 4, and 3. Then when I was 9, I was saying, how was I thinking when I was 7? How can I improve that? Then when I was 10, I did that. And then between the age of 14, 15, and 19, I really began to write all this down. I began to study, I was going back to when I was 3, 4, 5. And now what I do, sometimes my wife wonders what I'm doing, because I've kept all these notes and all these books. And sometimes she comes in my room and she sees all that. What is that? I said, I'm going back to when I was 15. When I was 15, so I'm making sure that I'm still synchronized with my teenager dreams and the way I was, and I'm not going off path. So that's another subject. If you're talking about inspiring ideas, when you're 15, 16, 17, you have dreams, you can't betray yourself. You have to keep in that direction, and you have to make sure that you're not deviating from what you are, because if you do, then you won't resonate anymore. There's no resonance. It'll be dissonance. You'll like mistakes in music. So if you have to stay together.
It also comes with exposure as well, Dennis, isn't it? So what's your passion? So to me, passion is finding, you experimenting and finding what you like, and then keep pursuing that passion, never leave that. The suggestion that you are giving is start early, experiment, find your passion, and stick to it. Be consistent with it. That's massive. I was curious about chatbots, Dennis. Very, very curious about chatbots, where you were mentioning that you started during that 1980s. Is that?
I registered the patent in 1982, and the chatbot was up and running in 1988.
There you go.
And if you go on LinkedIn, you can see the patent, you can see the art, what was written by Moët Chandon, not by me, and everything. Yeah, of course.
Is that the first ever chatbot produced in the world?
No, I'm not the first in anything. I don't know. I don't believe in I'm the first, I'm the best. We're microbes. We're just
Compared to the universe, absolutely.
yeah, because yeah, that was something I was thinking of this morning that I wanted to tell you. There's a problem inherent to human beings is that we still live as if the earth was flat.
Mm.
Think of it. When you move around, you're not thinking the earth is moving. You're thinking I'm moving on the, and the sun, you don't, when you see the sunset, you say, oh, what a beautiful sunset. You don't say, oh, what a beautiful earth turn. So we're still in this world where we see the world, the universe around us. So for us, the sun is going, but if we look the other way, we're nothing. So I'm the first of nothing. I'm the best in nothing. That's not humbleness, that's realism. Because right now, people, because I know this question comes along all the time, is artificial intelligence going to dominate the world? Like this Elon Musk nightmare, we're going to go to Mars, to avoid being contaminated by these bad AI algorithms. Do you think really that you have maybe 500 million Indians, 500 million maybe Africans, 500 maybe 200 in China, they don't even have internet. So who on earth is thinking artificial intelligence is going to take over what? Nothing. I don't know what they're talking about. Like I play chess, and I was playing chess with a man from Jamaica, and I said, aren't you worried about all this? He says, I'll begin to worry when I get a good internet connection, because for the moment, so we have to think that the universe is not going around us, and the center of universe is not Silicon Valley.
Yeah. That leads us to that next question. So having explored this concept of AI, and then what are we going to do with AI in the future? So what's your definition of AI? AI is a constellation of technologies, and it has evolved over time, and you would have seen that. Talk about IoT, data, cloud, whatnot, right?
Yeah, okay. Let's take it down to what it is. So there was, at the time of Napoleon, there was something called the Turk machine. And it was this fantastic automatic chess machine. And it was beating many people. So it went around Europe, and you had this little box, and you could play chess against it, and it was beating everyone. And then one day we found there was a dwarf inside. There was this small man that was good at chess, locked up. And in fact, Amazon has a system called the Turk, hundreds of thousands of people doing the work for them. So I think there's a myth. I think that we're always imagining that we humans project, like if you see a puppet show, you go to a puppet show when you're a child. When I was watching puppets, I thought they were alive. I was watching the puppet, and the puppet was talking. And when I was a child, I was saying, yeah, the puppet. But the problem with adults today, that they haven't changed. They're looking at artificial intelligence, which is a mathematical puppet, and they say, oh, when is artificial intelligence going to have consciousness like us? I say, so I would say artificial intelligence, if we go from there, will have consciousness when you take your pocket calculator and it begins to think. Artificial intelligence is a set of equations. It's mathematics. So it's fantastic math. It's beautiful math, but it's mathematics. So it's nothing. It's just a tool. People are afraid of artificial intelligence, but they're not afraid, like 20 years ago, that in banks, everything was automatic already. When I was young, you had to go into the bank to get your money. Now you just go to an ATM machine. But doesn't that, and then several centuries ago, you had to make your own clothing. Now you had machines, and people were saying, wow, are machines going to take over? And then you have Charlie Chaplin in the 1920s, 30s. He does Modern Times. I mean, there's nothing in artificial intelligence equation. It's just automatic. We're just, I'll tell you what artificial intelligence, why we're having this conversation. Suppose we think we're intelligent, right? We're three of us, and we think we're intelligent. but we're not intelligent, but we think we're intelligent.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we see someone that's more intelligent than us, we say, oh, he's a genius. Because if we were saying he was intelligent, then what would we be? Idiots. So see, it's a hierarchy. So the genius is the top manager and we're intelligent. But if the genius was only intelligent, we'd be idiots. So now we're a bit offensed because we can see machines doing things that we thought, us big humans, we could do. We thought a machine will never beat us at chess. A machine will never be able to do the New York Stock Exchange. We know that machine learning is doing much of the trading now in New York City.
Yeah.
So we're just offensed. We're saying, oh, so we're not that smart after all. No, because equations can reproduce most of our thinking because we created Taylorism 100 years ago. So we divided the workplace into something so stupid and limited that any machine can replace us. So we're thinking, oh, no. But so artificial is a set of equations, like your pocket calculator, that can do nice, beautiful things, but it's a tool, it's nothing else. And everyone that's playing, with robots and how they're going to talk, well, sure, go ahead. Tell me how it works with electricity, for example.
Absolutely. And I just believe that humans are way more than just, doing some calculations. We can write songs, we can compose music, we can do a lot more as compared to what a machine can do.
But that's a problem, because in fact, artificial intelligence can do everything you said right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the question that's coming to the Western world and to the world itself is what really makes us a unique human being.
Mm-hmm.
And since we have created a material world, we have forgotten what we were. So since we forgot what we were, and of course we can replace anything animal. You want to create a song with artificial intelligence? I can do it tomorrow morning. I just take it and then you produce random things, you get a song. You can do all of that because what is unique in a human being? And that's what I was taught. I was saying the other day with Terry Sinkt. We had this podcast on artificial, and in the end, Dennis, he said, what would you sum up as being the most important word? I would say love. Forget about music, creativity, and all that stuff. The only thing that makes us really human is love. That's it. If you take love out of the equation, boy, we're depressed. we're three men. When we were teenagers, what were we thinking? Who am I going to meet?
Absolutely.
Am I going to be alone all my life? So love. So if creating music, you can do anything you said with artificial intelligence. But how can you create love? How can you make my HP computer love me?
We talk about chatbot, and with voice bots coming into play, Dennis, I can see that people have started embracing that voice technology. And they say, there are a lot of loneliness here in this world, right? And people are saying, if you give me a bot which can do things for me, I can treat it as my son or a daughter, I can take him or her to a beach, and I can love. People have started to think in those perspectives. It's not robots loving us, it's like humans loving robots and then making it as a companion for them. What do you think about that?
Well, they love their smartphone. If you go in the subway, you watch people, they're touching it, my little iPhone, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful with a nice, it's their choice. And don't think this is something new. This is not new at all. If we went back 50,000 years, okay, we go back 50,000 years, you would have people looking at seashells and they would looking at stones. Oh, my beautiful stone. Oh, my beautiful seashell. Oh, my beautiful bow. Oh, my beautiful spear. Oh, my beautiful little thing. Yeah. My little helmet I put on my head. And then you would have people in the same clan. They were looking at the trees, the sky, the sun. It's just the way people are. We're not going to change humans. So we're just seeing, it's just visual since you can see it. But it's been like that for 50, maybe 100,000 years, maybe 1,000,000 years. It's just different types of personalities. So if people like their smartphone, well, they like their smartphone. What can I say? And if they don't like their smartphone, it's a free world. They can think what they want, do what they want. You know, I'm not going to judge people.
Yeah.
I'm in a position, being a little human being that still doesn't know where he came from, where he's going after, and what he's doing here. When I figure that out, I wrote that in the poster, that when I figure that out, I'll begin to give lessons to others. Dark is the world where people that, you know, assassinated their soul go. So if you assassinate your soul, you go to a dark world, and then you go to that's India. Now you go to Milton in England, and he said a man can make hell on earth. He can make a heaven or hell on earth, his own heaven and hell. So it's just where you want to go. So I'm not. So artificial intelligence is math. You can look at it as puppets and believe it loves you, or use it as a tool. Chatbots are very useful if you consider them as tools. If you consider them as your wife or your companion, you might have mental problems. I think there's going to be a lot of psychological problems, you know. I'm in love with my chatbot. In fact, there's been a marriage. You don't know this? A man married his chatbot. You don't know that, right?
No.
Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I will.
He said, because I don't have problems. She's always nice to me. When I get home, she talks to me nice. So he got married. It's a true story. Look it up on YouTube. You'll find it. But remember, in Japan, they don't think like us. They see more life in objects than we do. Not the same culture.
Powerful thinkers, yes. So it is coming back to the ethics aspect of it. We talked about AI being machine and programming and humans, and they have to coexist. You know, I don't think they've got any choice. So ethics is another hot topic when it comes to building an AI solution. Dennis. So can you briefly touch upon why this is extremely important now, and are you seeing any patterns?
What's very funny is where software has been present for, what, 50 years?
Yeah.
So, okay. So you tell me what people thought when ATM machines came. How did the workers feel when they said, oh, you don't need to give money to the customers anymore. We have this program. Or what do you say? Well, you don't need to look at the stock exchange anymore. We have a stop loss, automatic stop loss. You don't need to look at the computer. It'll be done automatically. So in fact, what are we talking about? Automatic calculations. Artificial intelligence is just another automatic calculation. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. It's just more automatic calculations. And since it came very quickly in the minds of people in the past few years, but have they looked to, there's this advertisement of Texas Instruments when they first started, and they say, with this pocket calculator, you can replace 40 accountants. With this pocket calculator. Then you have IBM. In the early 60s, they created this big calculator, and they say, with this, you can replace a whole department of people. So I don't see anything new. I see equations that are replaced. I see machines replacing humans since, I don't know, people invented the wheel. When you first invented the wheel, you didn't need people. Before, you had these people carrying things. They said, I don't need you anymore. I have wheels. And the person would say, how am I going to eat? Well, I don't know. Find something else to do. That's 8,000 years ago. Then people invented a car. And people say, well, what about the horses? You know, I used to take people by horse to their job. No, go away. Okay. And then people don't realize in the 1920s that, you know, people were being cold to their house, cold. And now they had this automatic heating. So people got out of a job. So it's been going on for thousands of years. And now it's just continuing that humans keep replacing humans with machines and automatic things. And they just like it. So one day you might have a bot that will be consuming stuff made by another bot. It's just humans. Humans like objects. They like automatic. So if you're talking about the coexistence between artificial intelligence and people, then talk about the coexistence between human beings and pocket calculators. or supercomputers. I would say artificial intelligence represents a very small part of automatic calculations, very small part. I mean, the transactions are mostly non-artificial intelligence, and they've been automatic for 30 years. So it's just, we're afraid of things that are new. I'm not afraid because I'm in artificial intelligence. But if I go to see a doctor and I have, it hurts me a bit here, and he begins to say these strange names, I say, I'm going to be terrified. I'm going to say, what is that disease? And he's going to say, well, calm down, I'm going to give you a treatment, and in a few days. So we're always afraid of things we don't know. So I'm not afraid of it because I'm in it. But someone who's not in it is afraid of it. But when I go see a doctor, I'm afraid. And when I go see an architect that's building a house, I'm going to say, are you sure that, it's not going to fall down the way you built? We're just afraid of things we don't know.
That's fantastic.
We're fearful people.
Yeah. Every organization, cultures and values are different. Now, you spend years and years in the corporate world. How do you see these companies treating ethics?
So culture, that one's something I only worked for corporations all my life. That's what you mean, for like airlines, defense. Culture is a huge problem. I mean, I feel so small when you ask me that question because people don't understand. It's so difficult. For example, I learned a lot doing artificial intelligence. To recognize two faces, you have to see some of the differences. If all the images you feed to the system look the same, well, then you can't see the difference. So human beings are focused on differences. That's the problem. Okay, so we're always afraid of something that's different because it takes us a long time when we're children to get used to one standard. Okay, my father's like that, my mother's like that, I go to work, they're like that. And all of a sudden you see these cultures coming in. Like in France, for example, we have a lot of doctors coming from Eastern countries now. And they have all these strange Eastern names. So people are saying, should I go see that doctor? And I say, he's a doctor, Yeah, but why should I go see him? But why shouldn't you go see him? You could, what's the difference? So our culture is based on difference. That's our problem. We only see the differences. And it takes a long time to adapt. So in the corporate world, what I would do, in fact, because Disney was a company I worked for, and what they have about, when I was working I had a few hundred users, and there was 180 nationalities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was everyone in the world. So what they would do is they would have workshops on each culture. You would have Asian workshop, American workshop, which is very special, Mexican workshop. You have all these workshops. So when you're doing a corporate project, what I would do was workshops. I would like get as many people possible and say, what do you want to see on your screen? And I would try to customize the screen or make a screen with, that everyone can agree upon, because each culture has a different way of representing what he sees. It's a very difficult subject, and it takes a lot. That's, I would say, forget about artificial intelligence, but in these projects, I would focus on the user and make sure that the user sees the interface he's used to seeing. And then behind, I would hide all the algorithms so that he would see nothing. He would just click on a button and it would be like before, but with some automatic things. It's a very complex subject. You can see in the United States right now all the problems that are going on with people that don't understand each other. We haven't solved that problem, because if we did, there would be no wars. We'd be perfect people. Maybe we would be bored.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't really have a big answer to that question, except that it's a lot of problems. And if you don't have an open mind, your project is dead. I can tell you that. I can tell you the opposite. If you don't go into a project, AI or not, AI is more difficult, that's all. AI, artificial intelligence, is just a very difficult project. But if you don't go in with an open mind, you're dead. Relate to people with something. So you have to read and understand and find the best of each culture, or your project is dead. Because the user won't use your program, so you're dead. So you have to be open-minded.
Thanks for tuning in, my friends. We have got thousands of people listening to this podcast and wanted to thank you all for the love and encouragement so far. Some of you have reached out personally to us and thanked as well for producing great quality content. It would be awesome if you like and follow our LinkedIn page, Inspiring Ideas, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button from where you are listening. We are across all the key podcast channels, Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. We will see you with another great episode next week. Thank you so much.